I never thought words could destroy something so completely, until now. Looking back, I wish I could take it all back. Every single careless word, every joke that wasn't really a joke, every moment I pushed him away without realizing what I was doing. But life doesn't work like that. There are no second chances when the damage is already done. It all started at a small get-together with our friends. We had been together for 5 years, married for 2, and things between us had felt different lately. Not bad exactly, but not the same. Less talking, more silence. Less laughter, more sighs. But I didn't think much of it. I figured all relationships settled down eventually. That night, we were at a dinner party at our friend Maya's house, sitting around the table, drinks flowing. The kind of night where everyone was a little too comfortable, a little too loose with their words. Someone made a comment about relationships, something about how hard marriage could be, and before I could even think, I blurted out the words that would change everything. "I don't even need him," I laughed, rolling my eyes. "I mean, let's be real, I'm doing just fine on my own." The moment the words left my mouth, I felt the air shift. A slight pause in the conversation, the kind of silence that only lasts a second but feels like forever. Some people chuckled awkwardly, others just sipped their drinks and looked away. But him, my husband, he didn't laugh, he didn't even smile. He just looked at me, really looked at me, like he was seeing me for the first time. And in that moment, I knew. I had hurt him. I had broken something. But instead of apologizing, I just brushed it off. "Oh, come on, babe. You know I was joking." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I know." But his eyes told a different story. That night, he barely spoke to me on the way home. He didn't hold my hand like he usually did. And when we got into bed, he turned away from me without saying goodnight. I told myself it was nothing, that he was just tired, that everything would be fine in the morning. I was wrong. The next morning, I woke up to find his side of the bed empty. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe he went for a run, maybe he just needed some air. But when I walked into the kitchen, there was a note on the counter. "I needed to hear that. Thanks for making it clear. Take care." No explanation, no fight, no dramatic goodbye, just those few words. And just like that, he was gone. I stood there, staring at the note, my brain refusing to process what was happening. This wasn't real. He wasn't really gone. I grabbed my phone, my fingers shaking as I called him. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. He wouldn't just leave. He wouldn't throw away 5 years over one stupid comment. Would he? I sat down at the kitchen table, the weight of everything pressing down on me. I replayed last night over and over in my head, remembering every detail. The way his face changed when I said those words, the way his shoulders tensed, the way he went quiet. I thought back to the past few months, to the small signs I had ignored. How he stopped joking with me as much. How he worked later, spent more time in the garage, seemed distant even when he was sitting right next to me. I had been so caught up in my own world that I hadn't even noticed him slipping away. My phone buzzed, and for a second I hoped it was him, but it was. It was Maya. "Maya, hey, are you okay? I feel like things got weird last night. Call me." I almost didn't respond, but my hands moved on their own. "Me," he left. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then again, then finally. "Maya, wait, what?" I didn't answer. I couldn't, because if I said it out loud, it would be real, and I wasn't ready for that. I spent the whole day in a fog, checking my phone every 5 minutes, waiting for him to text, to call, to say something. Anything. But the silence stretched on. By evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my keys and drove to his best friend Jake's place. If he was anywhere, it would be there. When Jake opened the door, his face told me everything. He knew. "He's here, isn't he?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Jake hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, but I don't think he wants to talk right now. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. Jake, please, I just need to see him. Jake sighed, stepping outside and closing the door behind him. Look, I don't know what happened between you two, but he's messed up about it. He's not just mad, he's hurt. I swallowed hard. I didn't mean it, it was just a joke. Jake gave me a long, tired look. Maybe to you, but I think he's been feeling like you don't need him for a while now. Last night just confirmed it for him. The words hit me like a brick. I wanted to argue, to defend myself, to explain. But what could I say? That I hadn't noticed how much he was struggling. That I had been so focused on proving my independence that I didn't realize I was pushing him away. I had spent so much time making sure everyone knew I was strong, that I could handle things on my own, that he finally believed me. And now he was gone. I drove home in a daze, my mind replaying Jake's words over and over. Maybe he's been feeling like you don't need him for a while now. I wanted to scream, cry, take back everything I said, but none of that would fix it. I had spent years telling myself that I was independent, that I could do things on my own, that needing someone made you weak. And now, the one person I truly did need was gone. I barely slept that night, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the sound of the front door opening. But it never did. By morning, the reality of it all was settling in. He wasn't coming home. Not yet, maybe not ever. I called him again, voicemail. I texted, no response. Days passed, the silence stretched on. Maya and a couple of my other friends reached out, asking if I was okay. I lied, saying I was fine, that we were just taking some space. But the truth was I was breaking. Every little thing in the house reminded me of him. His coffee mug still sat in the sink. His jacket still hung by the door. His side of the bed still smelled like him. One evening, after another unanswered call, I broke down and drove to his parents' house. Maybe they knew where he was. Maybe they could help. His mom opened the door, surprise flickering across her face. "Oh, I didn't expect to see you." That told me everything. He had already spoken to them. "Is he here?" I asked, my voice small. She sighed. "No, sweetheart, he's staying with Jake for now." I felt the sting of rejection all over again. Did he say anything about me? She hesitated. He said he needed time, that he didn't know if there was anything left to come back to. My chest tightened. "I didn't mean it," I whispered. "I didn't mean any of it." Her expression softened, but there was sadness in her eyes. "Honey, words matter. You can't tell someone they're not needed over and over and expect them to stay forever." I bit my lip to keep from crying. "Do you think he'll come back?" She sighed again. "I think that depends on whether he believes you still want him to." I left feeling worse than before, because I knew she was right. I hadn't just hurt him that night at the party. I had been pushing him away for months, maybe even years. And now, for the first time, he finally believed me. The question was it too late to change that? The days blurred together after that. I went to work, I came home, I stared at my phone, hopping, praying he would call. But he never did. I thought about reaching out again, but what was I supposed to say? I didn't mean it. He wouldn't believe that. And maybe, deep down, part of me had meant it. Not in the way he thought, not in the way that said I didn't love him, but in the way I had convinced myself I could live without him. That needing someone was a weakness. I was wrong. I felt it in every quiet morning when his side of the bed was still empty. In every moment I picked up my phone and remembered there was no one to text. In every little thing around the house that screamed he was here, but now he's not. Maya showed up at my apartment one evening, unannounced. "All right," she said, stepping inside and tossing her bag on the couch. "You look like hell." "Thanks," I muttered. She sat down across from me. "You need to do something, anything, because sitting here waiting for him to magically come back, not gonna happen." I sighed. I don't even know if he wants to come back. Maya tilted her head. Do you want him back? I opened my mouth to say yes, but my throat tightened. Because what if I said it and it didn't matter? What if I had already lost him? I don't know how to fix this, I admitted. Maya leaned forward. You start by showing him that you were wrong. You told him you don't need him. Then prove to him that you do. I stared at her. How? She exhaled. Find him, talk to him, tell him the truth, no matter how hard it is. The idea terrified me, but doing nothing terrified me more. So the next day, I drove to Jake's place again. My stomach was in knots, my heart racing. I knocked, and after a few moments, the door opened. And there he was. He looked different, tired, worn out, like he hadn't been sleeping much either. His eyes flickered with surprise. What are you doing here? I swallowed hard. Can we talk? He hesitated. I don't know if that's a good idea. Please, I whispered. Just 5 minutes. After a long pause, he sighed and stepped outside, closing the door behind him. The cool evening air wrapped around us as we stood there, neither of us speaking at first. I could feel the weight of everything pressing down between us, all the words left unsaid. Finally, I took a shaky breath. I didn't mean what I said that night. He let out a short, bitter laugh. You sure? Because you sounded pretty convinced. I know, I admitted, but I was wrong about everything. He folded his arms. Then why say it? I looked down, feeling my chest tighten. Because I thought it made me strong. I thought needing someone meant being weak. I spent so much time trying to prove that I could do everything on my own that I pushed you away. He was silent, his expression unreadable. I do need you, I whispered, more than I ever let myself admit. For the first time, his face softened. Then why did it take losing me to realize it? A tear slipped down my cheek. Because I was stupid. My voice cracked. And because I never thought you'd actually leave. His jaw clenched. Yeah, well, neither did I. We stood there, staring at each other, the pain hanging between us like something too heavy to carry. And then, finally, he spoke. I don't know if we can fix this. My heart squeezed. I know. But, he sighed, I don't want to walk away without trying. Hope flickered inside me. Me neither. He nodded slowly. Then let's start there. And for the first time in weeks, I let out a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. Because maybe, just maybe, we weren't completely broken after all.